Hi everyone, so today I'm going to explain testing for sugars. So the first thing we need to know is that there are two types of sugars, reducing and non-reducing sugars. Let's first concentrate on reducing sugars. So some examples would be monosaccharides such as galactose, glucose, or fructose. There are also disaccharides that are reducing sugars such as maltose. So the test that we're going to be using is known as the Benedicts Test, and similarly, the reagent that we'll use is also called the Benedicts reagent. Alright, so as you can see here, our reagent is actually blue in color, and that is because of the presence of copper 2 sulfate. And the reason why these sugars are called reducing sugars is because during this reaction, it's able to reduce the copper 2 ion in copper 2 sulfate into copper 1 ion in copper 1 oxide. This copper 1 oxide is actually red in color. Because of this, we can now predict the observations that we'll get. So if we have a positive Benedicts test, the blue color of the solution will change into a red precipitate, or more specifically, a brick red precipitate. However, if we have a negative test, the blue color will remain unchanged. This is because in the positive test, the copper 2 ion is reduced, but in the negative test, it isn't reduced. For the method of carrying out this test, first we need to mix equal volumes of the food sample and Benedicts reagent. And next, heat strongly in boiling water for 5 minutes. So the method that we just discussed is a qualitative method, which means that it just tells us that reducing sugars are present. However, if we want to know how much reducing sugar is present, we need a semi-quantitative method. So we can use this method because there's a difference in colors of the different solutions, which means that we can estimate the concentration of reducing sugar in each sample. So in this test, we get different concentrations and carry out the Benedicts test. And depending on the color and how close it is to the brick red color, we can infer how much. Moving on to non-reducing sugars. Just like their name, they do not reduce the copper 2 ion into the copper 1 ion. So what happens if we test it using the reducing sugars test? We will just simply not get any reaction and the blue color of the solution remains the same. In order to test for non-reducing sugars, we need to heat the sample with an acid such as hydrochloric acid, and this is because it will break down the non-reducing sugars into their constituent reducing sugars. For example, sucrose, a type of non-reducing sugar, will get broken down into fructose and glucose. After we've done that, we need to neutralize the acidic condition of the solution with sodium hydroxide or an alkali. Then, we can just repeat the steps for the non-reducing sugar test by mixing in equal volumes of the sample and reagent and heating strongly in the water bath to get a brick red precipitate again. I hope you find this helpful and see you guys next time.